Checking in for our flight to Newcastle. So today is my first time travelling in about a month or two, but my first time in over a year of having to check luggage. Checking luggage this morning was an interesting experience. Tried at the kiosk and the kiosk wouldn't let me check in at all. I'd previously tried online as well and that hadn't let me check in. Got the staff to check me in, that was fine. Went over to bag drop and it said I couldn't drop off a bag. The staff had no idea why that was the case. They manually checked me in. I'm in the lounge now. I'm about to grab some breakfast on what is the first of 19 flights in 11 days as I travel around regional Queensland. First flight is from Melbourne to Newcastle, then I'll be flying Newcastle to Brisbane, Brisbane to Barcaldine, and then Barcaldine to Longreach. I hope you enjoyed this review. I'm certainly enjoying making it. I'm pretty excited to be flying, even though today is an absolutely miserable day in Melbourne. It's bucketing down rain outside, that's why I did no filming outside whatsoever. I'm going to grab some breakfast and then we'll get on our way. Qantas operate two lounges at Melbourne, the Qantas Club and the Business Lounge. Despite flying economy, my Platinum status gets me access to the Business Lounge regardless of travel class. Inside you'll find a long lounge with full-length windows overlooking the apron. There is a variety of seating areas in what I think is a beautiful colour palette. My favourite area to sit is the very end of the lounge as it's a bit quieter. Regardless of where you sit, it's comfortable, fresh and has everything you need before a domestic flight. I love the seats facing the windows. Despite it being dark at this hour of the morning, it's nice to watch the planes push back and head off across the country. Okay, in the business lounge having some breakfast. With COVID the service has changed, so there's no longer the self-serve buffets. Instead there's a small window. You go to the window and you'll get your service there. They've got pancakes and toast, or what I got, which is the scrambled eggs and bacon on toast. And Maria is back in the lounge. Now, soy hot chocolate. Now, for those who don't know, Maria is one of the baristas in the business lounge here who somehow has the ability to remember everyone's orders. It's just amazing her skill there. She was actually, I think, on ABC News about it. There was an article. It's great to see some of the familiar faces back in the lounge. Anyway, I'm going to grab some breakfast before we start our flight to Newcastle. I'm just wandering through the terminal after having some breakfast in the lounge. I'm boarding my flight to Newcastle. Bit of a change of aircraft, since last night anyway. So we've gone from the all economy 717 to the aircraft with business class cabin, but they don't sell business class. So row 3 I can't have today because it's business class even though there's no business class cabin. Anyway, 6F now, the seat next to me is blocked. Bags checked in and we're moving out to gate 30. Jetstar used to operate out of this terminal. They use these gates down the end and now it's used for more regional flights. The Dash 8s often leave from there. And today the 717 off to Newcastle. So going to probably get a little bit wet as we walk out onto the aircraft, but it's the joys of travel. Departure was slightly delayed as it looked like our Canberra-bound 717 Express got catering loaded before us. Boarding commenced in a break in the rain, and after a short walk across the tarmac and a quick trip up the stairs, I'd boarded the 717 and was comfortably planted in my seat. I watched the Canberra-bound flight push back while the rest of the aircraft boarded. Reminders for wearing masks were broadcast by the crew, after which it didn't take long before it was our turn to push back and get out of this miserable weather. The all-economy cabin is set in a 2-3 configuration, which is pretty comfortable. Due to the aircraft change overnight from an all-economy berth to the dual cabin berth, I lost my 3/8 seat, and now I'm seated in 6F, which is on the side of the aircraft with 3 seats across. The A and B seats are the preferable to choose when flying on the 717 as there's no middle seat. However, the middle seat is empty, so I've still got plenty of ample shoulder room. The seats are fabric and look pretty clean and fresh. The seat pitch is 31 inches, which is pretty standard these days. There's a literature pocket above the tray table that folds down into a decent sized table that's pretty sturdy. Below the table is a seat pocket that can fit enough things that you need for such a short flight. The armrest between the seats also folds up, making it easy to spread out, which I did into the empty seat next to me. Up above is an air vent, call button and reading light. Despite this plane being 20 years old, the interior is fresh and is comfortable to sit and chill while staring at the countryside below on the relatively short routes these planes fly.
Alright, we've got a breakfast today on board the 717 and actually I'm surprised we're back to a normal meal service. We've got a cup of tea and a warm frittata. It's been a while since I've had hot food on an aircraft, so I probably shouldn't be eating this because it does have a small amount of onion in it, but I'm going to give it a go anyway.
Fortunately, it's one of the times you can actually take your mask off. Alright, I'm going to try the frittata. I ate about half the frittata before realising it was probably not a good idea for a fructose intolerant traveller, which is a nice segue to the bathroom review. Let's talk about the route between Melbourne and Newcastle. Qantas flies twice a day with a 717 on QantasLink. There's one morning flight and one evening flight. I'm looking at flights in February because realistically I can't see much travel happening before then. It's about $152 each way on Qantas, and with that you get the bag. Then we go to Jetstar. Jetstar fly 3 times a day between Melbourne and Newcastle. Their basic fares are a lot cheaper than Qantas. However, you've got to remember what you get with when you pay for Jetstar. So have a look at the bundles, work out which one is the best fare for you, and what's included and what isn't included. Particularly if you're interested in status credits, you want to get one of those bundle fares that includes your status credits, if that's something you're interested in. Then we've got Virgin. Virgin fly once a day. They are the cheapest, but their light fare I would not recommend. You don't get a lot with that. You have to pay for bags, food, etc. And also, importantly, it's not eligible as an eligible sector if you're trying to maintain status. So that's who flies between Melbourne and Newcastle. It was a pretty cloudy flight until we began our descent into Newcastle. We approached over the sea and crossed the coastline at Stockton sand dunes. The sand dunes look like they belong in the Sahara Desert and were great to see on our approach into runway 30. We touched down behind schedule and it's just a short taxi to the terminal after we arrived. Newcastle Airport is primarily an Air Force base. There were a few military reconnaissance planes parked as we taxied for the terminal to join the lonely Fly Pelican Jetstream 31 at the terminal.
Welcome to Newcastle, where the time is 8:55 a.m. If your mobile phone is within reach, you may now switch flight mode off. Although we are on the ground for your safety and the safety of those around you, please remain seated with your seatbelt firmly fastened until the captain turns off the seatbelt sign.
Okay, so I've landed in Newcastle now and I've had to exit through the arrivals area obviously, and now I'm going to departures to clear security again to board the same flight with the same crew off to Brisbane. So given we're late I need to hurry, but I figure the plane's not going anywhere because literally it just landed, so should have plenty of time. Anyway, next review will be Newcastle to Brisbane. See you soon.